marginalize us. And I ask all of you, and I believe most of you are already doing this, is not to allow yourself to be marginalized. In 1937, the AMA, in testifying against the Marijuana Tax Act, in the person of Dr. William Woodward, who was a physician, attorney, and AMA chief lobbyist for many years, said, quote, "We cannot understand yet why this bill has been prepared in secret for 2 years without intimation even to the profession," he meant doctors, there was only one profession in 1937, that it was being prepared, and quote, "The American Medical Association knows of no evidence that marijuana is a dangerous drug." Of course, at that time, remember that marijuana had only been in the United States pharmacopoeia for about 75 years and had been the third most commonly used drug in the United States before 1900 and the fourth most commonly used after. So where are we in this Alice in Wonderland kind of situation, this thicket of duplicity, where the Queen of Hearts has nothing on the Medical Board of California? Well, first, we're physicians practicing medicine. And as Dr. Fry alluded to, as long as we do that well, we should be able to withstand the slings and arrows of the uneducated and the incompetent. And unfortunately, I learned from my successful lawsuit against the medical board that these adjectives, incompetent and uneducated, accurately describe the Medical Board of California. I urge you to take a look at the court case, and you'll be seeing that in just a minute on my slide presentation here. But we've got, well, I guess that's where we're at right now. Oh no, I wanted to say a few more things. That the medical board claims to have practice standards for approving this medicinal herb, but as far as I can tell, they haven't. They make it up as they go along. Maybe it's because we're not talking about standards for prescribing a drug, but standards for giving advice. I can't write you a prescription. I can say, sounds like a good idea to me. I wonder whether or not they apply these criteria, standards, whatever they are, which are vague and overly broad and unknowable. They're inconsistent with the California State Health Department standards, and they're inconsistent with the way medicine is practiced in my county. How do I know that? Well, I was the medical director of the Medi-Cal Managed Care program there for 14 years, and I either reviewed or supervised the review of the charts of 80% of the primary care physicians. And then, because the state was giving us about $100 million to provide care to Medi-Cal recipients, they did a fiscal and a medical audit, and they looked over the charts. And I can tell you this, that while they were critical of some of the chart writing of some of our doctors, they never once turned anybody over to the medical board, nor did they threaten to turn anybody over to the medical board. The Medical Board of California is abusing their authority, they're wasting taxpayer dollars, and they're doing very little to monitor and improve the quality of medical care in California, which I'm sure is something we all support. They should be investigated by the legislature's Joint Oversight Committee, and they came within one vote of being so investigated a year ago. A former assemblywoman from Santa Barbara said if the medical board had the resources to investigate doctors who were not violating any quality problem, that their budget should be cut. And I certainly couldn't agree more with that. It seems to me that if we're interested in improving the quality of medical care in this state, we'd be far better off to revamp our woefully ineffective malpractice system and come up with some kind of arbitration setup than to let the Medical Board of California loose on their many witch hunts. Okay, let me revisit what the California Appellate Court of the 2nd District said in Bearman versus the Los Angeles County Superior Court. This was a great decision to appeal. My attorney, who I introduced to you last year, is here this year, Seymour Weisberg. Seymour, if you could raise your hand. Seymour just gave me an article that he is having published in the Defense Attorney's Journal about medical marijuana defenses, and it looks very good. I've gone through the first 4 pages. I'm very impressed with it. So the Court of Appeal wrote a decision that was better than if I'd written the decision myself. And those of you who know me know that that means that the appellate court wrote a hell of a decision. Okay, can I have the next slide? And they basically said that they didn't know, they said in plain English they did not understand Prop 215. And can I have the next thing? And I'm not seeing these things that are up there, so they also said that they didn't know what their role was. That their job,
here if you want.
okay, that their job, no, it's not good, that's okay. We'll just keep going with that. I'll just keep throwing them up once in a while. They don't know what that their role is because they said, look, your job is to take a look at poor quality medicine practiced by physicians. And here you've got a doctor that no one's complained about their problems. They didn't know legal precedents from 1979 and 1985. They weren't respecting patient privacy. And it goes on and on. Now, my attorney approached me about 9 months ago and said, Dave, how would you like to file a civil suit in federal court against the Medical Board of California? And he said, I'll do it on contingency. And I've got here with me my other attorney. I have a phalanx of attorneys. And that's what you got to have, unfortunately. But we're going to be suing the Medical Board of California in federal court. And this will be either the second or third lawsuit in federal court. Dr. Sterner has one in there, and I was talking to Dr. Denny, and he's going to put one in there. Now, what I wanted to touch on, and I only have 3 more pages here, and I think I have 30 seconds left to talk, so it has to do with two things. One is that we need to have the doctors and the dispensaries work together. We need to do something to discourage, eliminate those doctors who are not practicing good quality medicine. And this is, of course, not just for medicinal cannabis, but for HMO medicine in general. We need to have people who really do a history and really do a physical that's appropriate to the person's medical condition and that's consistent with the way in which medicine is practiced. Now, the other thing that I'm concerned about is these extra legal activities that are going on. This incredible foot dragging that's going on. Every week I get questions from patients demonstrating that government bureaucrats don't understand the law, or that the federal government is sticking their foot into the practice of medicine. My VA doctor can't recommend cannabis. If the government finds out I use cannabis, well, I lose my SSI or my military benefits. If the school where I teach knows I use medicinal cannabis, well, I lose my job. CPS took my kids away because we grew cannabis for a club. What can I do? These questions go on, and I'm looking forward to hearing the attorneys in terms of coming up with some strategies. As for myself, I'm going to sue the bastards. Now, the other thing is that we need to go after the media. The media has too much of a smirk and too much of their tongue in their cheek. They talk about pot docs or about need for weed. No wonder people are confused. We're talking about cannabis, and I think the AMA was right in 1937 when they railed against the use of the word marijuana. So one area we need to work on is credentialing of cannabinoologists and developing these standards that I mentioned, and that we need to work together. And we also, in developing these standards, we should bring in people like John Vasconcellos, we should bring in people like Joe McNamara. We need to act as patriotic Americans. We must stand up against the unconstitutional actions of our government. We are the ones who must beat back this creeping fascism. I ask you not to make martyrs of yourself, but when the government crosses a line, as they did in my case, when the government breaks the law, as patriotic Americans, you have an obligation to take action when it's reasonable to do so. And as I said, I sued and won. We've got the civil rights case. They tried to fine me $1,000 a day. We owed $115,000 if we would have lost. Dale Geringer gave me a bumper sticker that said, "I love my country. It's my government I fear." We need a government that respects and fears the power of the American people. It's our duty to preserve and defend democracy and freedom and stand up to the government when they are wrong. as they are here. It's the least we can do when thousands of Americans